Hello! Apparently I jumped scared that. Back up. Okay, so preseason's over. The full-on NRL season begins in what, 4 days, 5 days?
Yeah.
In Las Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas. I figured we should probably do a review of the preseason for all the teams, just to, you know, go through them, see how well our far too early predictions have held up in the past month or so. Not well.
Prediction of that. Sadly.
Spoiler alert.
Can I just say I'm ashamed that I put the Roosters in second?
Yeah, that was a good one. We're gonna get there. We'll get there. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning, the very top of the ladder, with our back-to-back preseason challenge champions, the Brisbane Broncos.
Because it worked so well for them last year.
Exactly. There's this whole thing about how the team that finishes in first in the preseason never makes the finals, and the team that finishes last always makes the finals, which bodes well for you, but not for Brisbane, because the Roosters finished last. Okay, so yeah, like we said, winning the preseason challenge is fairly inconsequential in the grand scheme of things.
Kind of like when the Cowboys won the Nines twice.
Exactly. However, I will say I do like what I'm seeing from Brisbane, at least in the preseason. They seem to have bought into like Michael Maguire's sort of hard-nosed football. I think they did. I think their defense looked a lot better than it did last year. The forward pack did their job and stayed in the game the entire time.
To be fair, a bunch of trained monkeys could have worked better than their defense last year.
Well, any
At
improvement
least in the second half.
Any improvement is improvement.
Yeah.
I think that much is fair.
Well, yeah. Is it enough?
Is it enough? That's the question. I'm a little bit more optimistic about them than I was when I did my prediction, because I had them in 13th or something. I think I had them either one above or below the Cowboys.
I had them at 14.
Yeah, I would. I would feel a lot. I feel a lot more understanding for people who want to put them in the top 8 now, because if they can get a full healthy season out of Payne Haas, which they didn't have last year, if Ben Hunt looked good for the small stint that he had, so if he can, what's the word, continue to gel within that system, I think there's very good signs for that Broncos attack, especially with Reece Walsh behind both Reynolds and Hunt. There's going to be a lot of space for him to do his work. So the main thing I was looking for from the Broncos was a good 80 minutes of just solid football, and they did that against the Bulldogs.
So you're talking about Ben Hunt and Reynolds. What happens when if Ezra Mann comes back?
I think if Ben Hunt's playing well enough, Ezra Mann isn't a straight walk back into that side, in my opinion. So he just may not get there.
It could be the 14.
Or if they are hell bent on bringing him back in, they put Hunt to the 9 and put Mann as the 6. Which I don't know if that's a better idea, to be honest.
I guess he's got pace, so that's fair.
Yeah, I guess
Hunt's got better smarts, I think.
we will see.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is that both the younger forwards and the recruited forwards that the Broncos brought in look really good. Ben Takura had a blinder against the Bulldogs. I really like him. Jack Kazievsky's fighting for a starting spot and appears to have won it for the time being over Origin squad member Brendan Piakura. So that might be a little bit of a tarnish as to like the development that maybe even Kevin Walters tried to put into some of these younger guys. But, with Mads there, I think that completely shifts what this team is going to be for the better. So I'd be happy putting them in the top 8 right now, which I didn't before, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it takes a year for it to fully,
Yeah, I mean, remember, they're under a new coach, and sometimes that takes a little while. So
exactly.
other teams are going to be in the same sort of boat.
Yeah. I think I'm more bullish on the Broncos than I was. Okay, we'll move on to the Dragons.
Second.
They were second.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm significantly more concerned about my prediction for these guys now. They looked really, really good. I was very, very impressed with the amount of moving pieces in that spine. Like they have a new fullback, a new starting hooker, and a new 7. They looked really, really good. I'm very, very impressed.
Well, they have recruited relatively well. They've got a good centre and goal kicker at Val Holmes. That also helps. I thought he had a pretty good game on the weekend till he was taken off about half time, like they do with all the preseason games. But
Ben Hunt.
But you brought up the signings. You brought up the signings before. Emre Gula looks to be a stud for that forward pack, especially with the departure of Francis Molo. I think that he'll be really good as a foil to like your Jack DeBellins and your Couchman brothers, who also look really
I
good.
always thought Emery Gould was great for the Raiders. So
Yeah,
I thought he was almost like another Tarpany coming on when he came on.
yeah, I completely agree. But I didn't because he never really got the minutes opportunity at the Raiders. You see him playing 40 plus minutes and he just doesn't slow down. He was really, really consistent throughout his stint. And that makes me very excited for the Dragons, which means I might have to bump a couple teams down in my in my
Yeah.
ongoing ladder in my head.
I probably have to as well, because I have them.
Yeah, you had them getting the spoon. I don't think they're quite that bad.
I had it quite that bad. I can't remember
But-
exactly.
Like, all of these come with the caveat that it is the preseason. Not necessarily every team is trying 100%, but they look good. That's all I can really say about the Dragons.
Yeah, they look in the preseason. If it then goes on into the main season, good luck to them. I hope things run well for them, but it doesn't always work that way. We've seen in the past. So,
Yeah, exactly. The Warriors finished third.
That's a surprise, honestly.
Well, they had the advantage of playing a bunch of reserve grade teams because they're going to Vegas. All of their trials for the week before, and no one going to Vegas was risking any of their
I
players.
also feel like they're playing in the All Stars game as well.
Exactly.
So,
Although you'd think they would be one of the more All Stars affected teams, being from New Zealand.
yes, yeah.
But in my mind, it's still extremely hard to judge how the Warriors are going to go because I don't think we'll get into the team lists later on for who they put in the halves, but I'm not fully convinced as to whatever combination they put there is going to be like particularly good.
Well, I think it's going to be hard because Sean Johnson's a big.
It's a big shoes to fill, exactly. But they have like 4 options that I can think of that could go there, but none of them are going to bring that same sort of either leadership or sheer talent that he did.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But I will say I did like Luke Metcalf. I think he looks really good. He should be there. So
Look, we always love the Wires to do well, right? It's a team that everybody loves.
yeah, exactly.
So hopefully they don't
And like,
do what you think they're going to do and come in the bottom couple. I hope they do okay.
Yeah. The preseason was especially hard for these guys because they never put out a full strength squad.
And it's hard to.
So it's hard, and they never played a full strength squad. So it's hard to tell both the caliber of play they have and the system they have. So I'm hesitant to change anything, but I can see them not being wooden spooners because Fisher Harris at least looked pretty good, and that's all you want from your marquee signing. Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
Andrew Webster has his work cut out for him.
yeah. The Warriors are the hard ones to judge. I think
Yeah.
they're one of the harder teams to judge.
Cowboys
So,
on the list.
And then Cronulla finished 4th.
mhm.
They're similar to the Warriors in that nothing that they really did in the preseason could shake my perception of them.
Because they're also
It doesn't really mean a lot. Yeah.
But for the opposite reason. Because they could have lost games in the preseason by 50 each. I would not remove them from premiership contention at all.
No.
I have no issues with how they looked. I mean, they beat the crap out of the Raiders, to be fair, which was a good game to watch.
Yeah.
And you get more miles of Hines and Trindle feeding the ball to Adam Fanua-Blake and that combination building. They're going to be very, very good.
They've got a gun in Fanua Blake. Their forward pack is just scary looking. You know what I mean, I think it's second to none in the competition at this point.
I agree. I think it is the best. Yeah, there's just the Sharks are the same.
Yeah, they're very consistent. They're going to be in the top 4. Where they finish is the thing. I've got them in second. I still think they can do second. I really
really
do.
big thing that has to
So-
say the announcement.
They didn't need anything else.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just
So,
saying.
yeah. Okay, the Tigers finished 5th.
Yeah, this is just proof that the preseason means diddly.
I don't know about that. Look,
Because you
have to remember that they played the entire preseason without both Jerome Luai and Jareem Buller. who were two very, very good weapons for that spine, and they still did exceptionally well. That I clearly underestimated how much May meant to that forward pack. He was phenomenal.
He was.
He's going to be so good for that team. And
I agree.
Royce Hunt coming off the bench. Jarrell Skelton on the wing was great because he just did the hard yards. That's what they were missing when you had people like, what's his name, Charlie Staines and like Kit Lauliti and stuff. You didn't have that like 170 meters a game wing and fullback. Now they do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be better than I thought because I had them somewhere around near the Broncos level. They could finish ninth. I don't hate anyone putting them in the 8, but I think it's a touch far-fetched.
Yeah, I put them in 11th, though.
Tenth.
Yeah. I think I had them 11th. I think, they're going to do better than they did last year. That's a given.
Yeah.
With the cattle that they bought.
Surely you
So,
can't do worse.
Yeah, well, they did come last. You can't get 18th because there's no 18th team yet.
Look, I will caveat that statement by saying the start of the year may be a bit rough. It will take time for Benji to get all of these guys working together.
Yeah, like any new combination.
Exactly. But once it clicks, it's going to look really good.
Of course it will. Because they've still got Appy and people like
Yeah, Appy Coruscant is still there. They've got
do like quite well. They've got history, so yeah.
There's too much.
cautiously optimistic.
And Taruga, yeah. So they've got a few of the Penrith connection there in the team.
They haven't
So
signed like a million players.
It's the preseason.
they have the money.
All you wanted for the Tigers was for them to look better than last year, and so far they've done that.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm pretty happy with how they're doing. The Finns,
Who actually had a chance of winning this competition
yes,
and then went down a screaming heap to the Gold Coast.
yeah, that was a fun game. Look,
Well, fun for you because
look, people will look at the box scores of these and say, "Oh, well, he beat the Cowboys 50-8 or whatever it was, and they're going to be really good." No,
The Cowboys do not.
it was the infantile Cowboys.
yeah, that was the Group C Cowboys.
Exactly. So, look, I think with Amarillo at 6, that attack didn't look very good. So I think best interest means Nick Remus.
I think the Freeman needs to go there. Yeah, Brillo needs to be in the centres. That's where his place is, right?
And
So
what?
that's the hammer.
Yeah, and watching the Titans game didn't really like ease any of my doubts I had about Hamaso's ball playing. It still isn't there.
Yeah, he's got the speed. He's got to develop a little bit.
Yeah, he can have speed all he wants, but if he can't use that to, like if you're a defender and you're looking at Hamaso, you're thinking he's fast, but he's not going to pass the ball. So
Yeah.
all I need to do is just lock eyes on him and intercept. If he figures out a way to actually get a decent passing game, then he will be elite, and the Dolphins will be very good. Outside that, it's good to see Tom Gilbert get through a game.
Oh, great. Yeah, really, really good.
Very, very happy about
When
that.
is Tom Flagler coming back?
He may not be.
His is a tough one.
What's the word that they use? Indefinite.
Indefinite, yeah. Also, well, we're Cowboys fans. We knew this. Kulikov is a gun.
Oh,
He looks so good. I'm very, very sad that the Cowboys don't have him anymore.
yeah, it was a bad day in North Queensland when you said the other Dolphins were becoming North Queensland.
Yeah,
like at this
He's
point.
he's
So,
such a good signing for them.
yeah.
So
They got
Look, there is talk about Hammer
it's not going to happen.
wanting to come back.
His fiance lives on the Gold Coast. I don't think they're going to be going anywhere.
I think that matters. I mean, you look at Val Holmes, his wife had businesses and everything in Townsville, and he's back in New South Wales. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess.
it can change, but I don't know. It may not. He might set down roots and be quite happy down there.
Yeah. Outside that, I think Christian Wolf has his work to get this team to avoid that like a late season slump that
Yeah.
the Dolphins will
They
take.
did under Bennett, so
So you can only imagine that it's going to be worse under Wolf.
I hope not, because I like Wolf as a coach.
Oh, I like him. I think he's great. I just think he has a bit too much of a Herculean task ahead of him.
Yeah, I don't have them in the eight. I see them falling away towards the end.
You still
As not.
Yeah, I still think they will.
Yeah, so you have a lot more confidence in their attack and their forward pack than I do.
Yeah.
I think you've got confidence in Christian Wolf to get the most out of their attack.
Yeah,
He did wonders with the Tongan team, let's face it. I mean, they were excellent.
true.
And he was that.
Yeah, I guess you can definitely make the argument that they're going to be competitive. I don't see it.
Well, I think they'll be competitive for the majority of the season, but I think just like normal, they'll peter out towards the end. They always start fast, the Dolphins, and slow down.
I guess the argument you can make there is that the younger their team gets, the less likely that is to happen because they'll keep the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
for the whole
fitness
year.
and all that.
And now that Jesse Bromwich is gone, and you'll have the emergence of Max Platt for the whole year. Tom Gilbert's back.
Yeah.
It's feasible that they can avoid that. I just don't think their peak is going to be as high as it was under Wayne Bennett.
Maybe it won't, not this year. Maybe let's look forward. You know,
I think they have good foundations.
yeah, I think in future they'll start really becoming a force.
Yeah.
I don't agree with. It was a gal who said all Queensland teams will make the final. Maybe he was on something.
You're gonna try to make it fine.
Peptides.
Manly, pretty much as per program.
I'd love to talk about Manly.
Yeah.
I know you hate Manly.
It wasn't
Everybody hates Manly.
much bad, but they just weren't best.
Well,
They're okay.
exactly what you expected.
Yeah.
Without
They were fine.
Brooksy, Trbojevic, and DCE, you've basically got what you asked for with this team. I
Complete averageness.
guess they're completely fine. But they have that young forward, Raymond Viega, I think his name is. He looks really good, especially when you have a forward pack that includes the likes of like Nathan Brown and Takeaho and all of these, Trbojevic and all these like upper age guys. Like a low 20-year-old big bruising forward coming through is something that Manly could really use.
No, we'll use that too.
Yeah, well,
get to that.
yeah. Yeah, there's not much to say about Manly, I don't think, for us.
They're just
But I haven't
they're
lost.
completely okay.
I haven't
fine.
lost where I think they're going to end up. They're going to end up somewhere near the edge of the top four, if not in the top four. I put them in fourth. I'm confident.
I think I put them in
Fitness all the way through,
I
yes.
think I put them in 7th or 6th.
Yeah, we had them in like the same spot as they were last year. I had no issues with that. Okay,
Okay.
the Titans.
They're bad.
No, I disagree with that. Did you watch how good Campbell and Brimson were together?
Yeah, they still have to work out the best way to use those. What happens when?
Foreign's out now. They don't have.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did his
Foreign's injured again,
Yeah,
which is like saying the sky is blue.
yeah. Well, he's 30 million years old, so
That's the one thing I don't understand that Hasler was doing. He's going to try and make him into like the ball playing lock role. He doesn't have the durability for that.
all the size. To be fair, he's not big.
I think Kurt Mann is a fairly successful one in that position.
I suppose
He's a bit younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very high on Jaden Campbell now. I really like
He should
Yeah.
stay fit.
He needs to stay fit.
You know, because
Really?
he does get injured a bit, so he's got to watch himself.
Yeah.
He's still built. He's not built heavily because he can't be in his role.
No.
But that can also be a negative because he's in the front line now as 5'8". So
I wouldn't say first. I'm not going to do what I did with Latrell and say that if he's healthy, it's a Dally M season for him. But
no, you'll put him knockers on him, and he'll get injured as well.
I'm happy with the Titans. I think they're exactly what I expected them to be. They're going to score points. Can they stop them? Maybe. David Fafita on the bench concerns me though.
David Fafita has not really reached his potential for the last few years. He needs to find something. I don't know what it is.
This is the year for that to happen. I can excuse what happened at the end of last year for him because of the whole Roosters saga.
Well, that was partly of his own doing.
It was partly of his own doing, but I can imagine that maybe even had an effect on the team around him as well.
Yeah, possibly.
If they've had a preseason to reconcile that, Des Hasler is one of the best at getting those sorts of units to work together.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with having them still making the top 8.
Sleeping on them, but I may have a bit of a dose. I don't really I'm not really fond of what.
Still don't
Like-
make the 8.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand your point.
Yeah, they're such a. I mean,
They're thereabouts.
top 4 are wooden spoon for these guys. They have the largest range of outcomes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Not a good distance between the 4 and the 17 for them.
The Eagles also do have a big distance. They could
No,
finish
they-
each of top
I
4
would-
or
I-
15.
I would argue that that's
I mean, the Seagulls
likely.
will mostly be in the top 8.
Yeah, if we're going to go back to the Seagulls, I'm going to say that their floor, if Trbojevic gets hurt, is significantly raised by how good Lehigh Hopewati is. Because they'll just chuck him at fullback, and he can do a job back there.
Yeah.
I think even if Trbojevic is out for 75% of the year, they'll be pushing for a top 8 spot.
Oh, yeah. I don't see. I mean, they've got too good a roster for that not to happen.
Exactly like we could say the same thing about the Titans.
Yeah. I wouldn't forget, they still, with their roster, they just can't seem to get there. It's like
Frustrating.
they're probably more frustrating than our team at times, you know. So
Yeah, the preseason I think is going to be a great microcosm of what the Titans season is going to be this year. Great highs, like beating teams in like multiple different ways, and also getting the crap beaten out of them.
yeah, so that's they
It's
still
how
might
much they
finish
can
on a negative score
reconcile.
against. You know,
Yeah,
that's what you got to try and avoid.
I guess we'll see. Keanu King is so good.
Oh, and he's
I have to rant about him. He's so good.
oh, he's great. He's kind of similar to the Penrith, the Storm boy.
How far longer?
They're
Yeah.
both similar players, and they're both electric,
Both
and they're
tiny,
both fast.
Tiny, nippy, and really good.
Very good football players. But yeah, he's good for them. I think he needs to play fullback. Jaden and AJ in the halves.
Please.
He's actually faster than you give him credit for.
He's quick.
Yeah.
I forgot how fast he is.
There you go. He was very good in the Origin when he played.
Yeah. He feels a bit like Cam Munster.
I think he's a bit faster than
He's a
Munster.
bit faster than Munster, but I think Munster's like actual command of a team is a little bit better. But maybe, well, AJ doesn't have to worry about that if you've got Campbell pulling the strings. So it could be a very good year for the Titans. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, we'll get to the Storm.
Yeah.
So that'll be a little bit later.
Ah,
The Eagles, Parramatta, mixed bag. I feel like
why is Lomax playing?
they beat Newcastle and then the Tigers beat them. I feel like it doesn't tell us much. Jack Williams looked really good, and I think Jason Riles has really high like praise for him because he's a new signing. He only came in this year. He's already part of the leadership group down there.
Right.
So clearly there must be something there that Cronulla didn't have or didn't appreciate. Maybe.
Is he a senior player? How old is he?
He's 29 or something. He's
so-
been around a bit.
So he's got that. He's got the experience and stuff, which is good for the younger kids.
Yeah.
Lomax at centre.
Why is Lomax playing in the centres?
Jason Riles. Listen to us. He needs to be on the wing.
You can argue
Better
that
on the wing.
you can argue the reason he left the Dragons is because he didn't want to have to play on the wing. He had all the leverage when it came to what position he was going to play at.
So he choose centre then.
He preferred playing at centre. I don't know why. He's clearly better on the wing.
He's one of the best leapers for the ball in the competition. Probably the best now that Phelps left. So
Or maybe it'd be better for him to try and jump over centres than wingers.
perhaps other wingers are quite tall, eh? So
Exactly.
like your Roosters wingers and stuff.
Imagine a pairing on that side of him and Bryce Cartwright. Their entire attack would be kicking to those two. On Bryce Cartwright, I don't know what the second row pairing is going to be. There's a lot of options there. You've got Kelma Tuolangi, you've got Matt Dury who's there, you've got Kitione Katonga or something who seems to be a smoky to get the starting role.
Okay.
So they've got a few there. Ryan Madison is also an option. They've got a lot they can choose from.
Yeah, Madison needs to stay healthy as well. And
For him isn't the issue. I think it's his work ethic.
okay.
Because you see it every time he goes somewhere, he'll play well for a bit, and then he'll get out of shape and run out of town.
It's interesting though, because his dad, Terry Madison, was not the same. He was very, very into his football.
Yeah.
So,
Look,
yeah.
I think that if they can get good out of Ryan Madison, he's a very, very good player, and they have a good forward pack. Jermaine Hopgood got through unscathed, which is nice. So, if you're looking at Parramatta, I can see a case for them in the 8. I just think a bit like the Tigers, it'll just take a year.
I don't think they're coming second last, but I don't think they're getting towards the 8 this year.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of teams that have proven their worst so far.
Yeah.
Newcastle. What to think of Newcastle?
You mean Kalen Ponga?
I disagree with that. Fletcher Sharp looked good.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks good because he's got speed.
Wow, I wonder who we were just talking about that has that.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah,
Ah.
exactly. And Bruno, I mean, but it's not. Yeah, he was good against, I guess, not 100% full-on teams. Let's see how he goes when it comes
They-
up against.
Beat essentially the full strength Roosters, like 46-10,
Yeah.
which is about as much as you can ask for a team with like the 10th halves combination in a year.
We'll get to the Roosters though.
But they weren't even full strength. They didn't have Tyson Frizzell or Adam Elliott in their team. So I think,
Look, they were fine. Once again, it's the Knights, right? They'll either be 8th or 7th, or they'll be 10th or 11th. They'll be somewhere in that sort of zone, I think, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know.
the one thing that gives me pause for how I thought Newcastle were going to go, which wasn't great, was that watching the Roosters game, they were they looked very aggressive, which is something you haven't seen out of them for the past few years. And if that's an indication that Adam O'Brien is adapting, my opinion of him completely changes, and so does my outlook for Newcastle. If they can keep that aggressive mindset, they're going to be a force because they still have a good team. Kalen Ponga is one of the most skilled footballers we have ever seen.
Yeah.
They've got a great wing pairing with Maju and or James Schiller. I think it's Schiller.
Sharp's been really good.
Fletcher Sharp looks good. And all they need for like whoever the 7 is, Phoenix Crossland or
Hastings.
it'll be Jack Cogger, won't it?
Oh,
Maybe Jack Cogger. They just need him to be a game manager for all of these weapons everywhere.
One of the Saifidi bros.
I'm fine with that. They've got good young forwards coming. They've got Leo Thompson's brother coming through who looks really good.
Twin.
Yeah,
They
Tyrone.
won't get a team.
He looks exactly the
When
same.
they run onto the field, if they run together.
They're just like their brotherly forwards. I think that's what it is because they have the Saifidis and now they have the Thompsons.
Yeah, the Thompsons are identical twins.
I'm also going to rant. Dylan Lucas is one of the best second rowers in the NRL. He's so good. I cannot wait. Origin smoky for him, I reckon. Book it. New South Wales. Book it. He will be in the Origin squad at some point in this year.
Well, it doesn't matter because they're being coached by Laurie Daly, and that means they will
I'm thinking about the Blues right now. We're talking about Newcastle.
Yes.
Primarily.
Yes.
But if round 1 comes around and they play as aggressively as they did against Sydney, they're a top 8 team. No question.
Who's their first?
That's a good question, actually. I don't remember.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. If it's someone like the Tigers, I don't really think that's a good.
Let's see. Who is it? It is.
the Tigers.
Oh, it is the Tigers. Great. Well done.
Like,
Well, I don't think that's going to be a great sounding board, which is what I just said. Depending on how the Tigers can back up their preseason.
For that one, I don't care if they win or lose. It's the mentality they bring to the game. If they look aggressive and not this uber conservative attacking team that they have the past few years, they're going to be very, very good.
Well, they are. And once again, Thomas stays healthy. All that.
Like Brandon Best also stays healthy.
Yeah. Because I actually believe that if Best had played against the Cowboys in the qualifying final, it would have been a lot closer.
I agree, absolutely. That's about it. Could be very, very good if what we saw in the trials continues into the regular season.
Actually, we don't know that. But there's 27 rounds. It's a long season, right? So, yeah. I don't know.
Penrith, what do you say? They didn't play a full strength team the entire
Yeah,
time.
they're headed to Vegas, right? So that's.
I think
I don't think they're doing the World Club. I'm not sure.
I actually don't know what they're doing. It's probably
I
not.
don't think they should.
No.
Because they've got this. If they weren't doing Vegas, yes.
Yeah.
But because they're doing the Vegas trip, I think they can leave the World Club Challenge out.
Yeah.
Just let who came second?
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Let them play the World Club Challenge.
Yeah.
They'll still win.
Yeah, there's just not much to say about Penrith. Besides that, I guess we'll see how Jack Cole does. He looked okay. I guess we'll see. Blaze Talangi might come in once he nurses that shoulder to health.
I think he will. He'll be another one that's like got the speed at 6.
Yeah.
He's good for theory to bounce off.
There's just nothing to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know the Panthers.
Yeah. The Cowboys. 12th in the preseason means they're going to come 12th in the regular season.
that is
Not
not
how it works.
It's an
You
omen.
know that.
It's an omen. I can
I
predict the future.
You wish.
Look,
Actually, I wish.
I don't think anything in the trials particularly has changed my mind.
No, look, in the first half against Melbourne, they were pretty good.
Yeah, I
They scored 36 points.
They scored a good amount of points. I agree. I just feel like a lot of their points came from Melbourne errors, which a lot of the top flight teams aren't going to do.
Sure about that because there was a lot of going around them this time. Like they put it out to Purdue and he bust through the line and he looked excellent out there.
Yeah, oh man, what a centre dilemma they have now.
Because Villiers was
He
excellent.
was also very, very good. So what do you do with Labour?
I don't know. 14.
And you chuck him on the wing in place of Braden Burns. That would be the only way I think you could try and reconcile it.
No.
No, Labour.
Oh.
But that'll be a tough sell
Because
because
Burns was fairly good.
He had a couple of issues under the high ball, which is the opposite of what Todd said in the lead up to the thing. He's like, he's there because he's been safe in defense and under the high ball. And he wasn't great under the high ball.
well, we all know actually that Zach Labert's defense is excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
I think both the Laberts, they don't miss, and their tackles always stick. He's in the same mould as his brother in that respect. So
Um,
I still think they make the eight. I think if they, once again, it comes down to injuries and that sort of thing. If they can remain mostly healthy for the year, they still make the eight in my books.
my part for them to make the eight is this. John Bateman does what he did in the preseason. He has to do very well. He did his whole little crap running across and finding the strike weapons, and that worked for them.
Yeah,
And Tom Duffy, you need to play him. You can't put him behind Clifford. He played too well. His kicking game was too good.
well, he was good. Look, Duffy did nothing wrong,
No,
and
he
didn't hurt his chances. Let's say that anyway.
the big thing I saw was like you can be as good as you want within a good structure because he came through the Pride system, which is arguably the best in the QRL. That broken play where he put up the kick for Braden Burns' try immediately sold me that he should be the 7 because he broke out, like, the play broke down, he ran up in support and put a perfect kick in for the winger. I love it. I really, really
He was the main reason the Pride did so well last year.
leading.
Yeah. Admittedly, he had a good combo with Clifford as well, which got them there. And then when they weren't together, Pride couldn't go on with it in the finals, unfortunately. But it does.
All of your people are stolen.
For the main team, yeah.
It's like Origin affects NRL.
Yeah, it is. And that's just the way it goes. Look, he was great. Drinkwater was his normal self.
How does the forward rotation work?
Well,
I'm very curious to see if they start Tamalolo or if they start McIntyre.
well, here's the deal. It depends on when Tamalolo comes back. We're still not really given a date on that, are we?
I think that because McIntyre said his intent in the preseason was to do what he did last year, but for longer. So if he can get like that starting prop role and play 45 or 50 to 55 minutes, all of a sudden you only need Tamalolo for half an hour. And 30 minutes of 110% Tamalolo is better than 80% of forwards in the NRL.
I'm not sure that Payton will actually do that because,
He'll find any reason to dumb down Tamalolo's minutes.
I don't know what's going on there. It's really annoying because, what that does is it puts a negative onto Tamalolo, puts a negative mindset. And, that's what happened to start with when Payton took over. The Tamalolo was always injured to start with.
Because when he first came up here, Payton called out Tamalolo on his defense, which wasn't great and still really isn't. So I feel like Todd was right in that instance.
Yeah, but he's such a weapon when he's on.
Exactly. So what you do, I'm going to sound like Todd, you manage his minutes. You play him for 30, maybe 35 minutes a game, and he can just go at 100%. And you have McIntyre, who's extremely solid defensively, to just hold the fort for the first 20, 25 minutes of the game.
Yeah, but if you want to win games, you got to score points. McIntyre is not scoring.
The Cowboys have a billion other weapons that they can use to score points. That's not the issue. You look at the weapon, Drinkwater, Dearden, Duffy, Talangi, Purdue, Malia, Labour if he comes in. There's so many weapons they have. Robson, Nanai. They have so many weapons that I don't think they need any more striker power. They just need solid, consistent football, and McIntyre is the embodiment of that.
Yeah, he needs a year like he did last year. Like you said, he wants to do it. I think, like you're saying, Jeremiah Nene had a really good game.
The big thing I saw, 14 runs, is more than he had in most games last year. That if he's actually being involved, that's a really good sign.
And if they're using him, they need to use him.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't just be a battering ram. He needs to actually do some attacking stuff because we know how good he is at that.
Exactly.
Right, so he needs to be able to do that.
I'm definitely...
I think our second row is fine.
And they've got Lawton, who comes off the bench to spell either of them, really. So
Harrison, I suppose, if they need to.
Edwards, I think, would come on through the middle. He'd be the Cotter spell, I reckon.
Yeah, probably. Although Cotter could do it.
And then you get Heston, Tamalolo, or Neem.
Heston Neem.
Heston Neem will be your
If Neem's
Then what happens? What happens
What's with
when
McLean? I mean, we've got
I would be happy with McLean coming off the bench?
they want Neem to start and maybe do the swap over with
Yeah,
McLean.
because you have Neem, who's the big bruising runner, and you have McIntyre, who's the solid defenseman. I know, but then you've got two mid-30s forwards coming on off the bench. Maybe that's not the best
I
idea.
don't think Hess is mid-30s. I think he's...
No, I'm talking about McLean and
Oh,
Talon.
McLean and Tamalolo, yeah, well. And where's the place for Hess, you know? I don't think he can. When he was on in 2023, he was the one that brought the mongrel for the Cowboys. Yes, they didn't make the finals, right? But he actually brought the mongrel. You could see that. And in 2022, same thing. You could see he brought the energy, and he's a revelation in the front row. He's just done so well
Yeah.
since putting him there.
Someone
he
has
wasn't the second rower.
someone has to be the odd man out. Unfortunately, I'm very interested.
David Harrison,
Thorpe and Harrison are basically the same
player. They can cover the same positions. I mean,
Yeah, I guess you could have Lawton who covers 9. Yeah, maybe
Harrison could cover.
Edwards-
Yeah, Harrison Edwards could also cover 9. So they're all kind of
Okay, yeah, that might be the way it works.
But, you know,
That's obviously for wiser heads than ours, or if we don't like it.
We're not paying for this.
No.
Yeah. Look, my probability of them making the 8 has increased, like, to probably 50-50, but I'm just not convinced yet.
Well, so they had to show more consistency than last
Yeah,
year. Yes, they made the 8, and some of the games they played were excellent. Even some of the games they lost were excellent, right? The game against Penrith, where they only went down by a try, they came back so hard in the second half. That was one of my favourite games, even though they lost. They fought hard, but they didn't do that often enough. No, Brisbane killed them. The Warriors killed them. The Sharks killed them. Those games really dropped them down, and the consistency just wasn't there. This year, they need to, even if they lose, it can't be by 40s, you know, or 30s. They need, if they're losing, make it by like 6s or 8s, and then at least they've tried, right? So, and then of course, if they win, we know they can win by lots because they can score a lot of points, especially if they get on a roll. What they don't have, and they haven't really ever had, is that killer instinct. They can't put the foot on the throat and just go for the jugular and beat teams by 100. Yeah, they beat the Tigers a couple of years ago by 74, but that was after being beaten 60 odd.
I guess you can argue that the 2 game, well, at least the game they had up here against the Raiders is a good indication that they still can do that.
Well, they can, I mean, and they played really well against the Bulldogs
Yeah, man.
down in Sydney, where they also won by like nearly 40. But we know they can put on points. They've just got to make sure that they can stop them.
Yeah. Get back to me at the time of the Cowboys' first bye and see how optimistic I am. Because their opening draw is not easy because it's at Manly, at home against Cronulla, Brisbane, home against the Raiders, at Penrith, and at the Rabbits. So if they're even at like if they're 3-3 at that point, I feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's a tough run to start. It gets a little easier after that.
But yeah, it's Titans, Warriors, and then up here against Penrith and the Sea Eagles. So if they're hovering at about
If they're at 5-5 at round 10, they're probably going to make the 8. I would suggest, yeah. Obviously, they'd want to be a little better than that, but you need to be at least winning your home games as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of aways to start with, which is
23, they weren't really good at winning home games. They had a really poor record in 2023 up here.
yeah, we ignore 2023. 2022 and 2024 are okay to talk about.
Okay, the Dogs. I'm not overly concerned.
I
I am not convinced that they're as good as they were last
They're
year.
going to finish 9th, and that is the end of it.
I mean, I remember was it Cooper Cronk, one of them, saying that, oh, they were one of the best defensive, third to best defensive team all year in 2024. Yeah, but they also leaked 80 points in the last 2 rounds, which wasn't a great look.
Yeah.
Especially for a team that was fighting for like a home final, which they
If you're going to try and draw a comparison to like what you can expect from them this year, if you're looking at how they ended last year, it's the 2022-2023 Cowboys. Because you look at how the Cowboys finished 2022, the defense wasn't great, right? Because you think they conceded they conceded 26 against Brisbane. They conceded a lot of points in the qualifying final against Cronulla and conceded 26 points, whatever it was, against Para in the prelim. And then you look at
that prelim.
well, then you look at how the Dogs did at the end of last year. It's a pretty similar thing. So if you're going to try and extrapolate, you can predict them finishing maybe 11th or 10th. I just don't see it. And my argument for the way they performed against Brisbane is that they missed the biggest meter eater in the competition and their marquee forward signing. I think that accounts for a lot of what the Bulldogs do. So I'm not overly concerned that come round one, if those guys are back, they're going to be fine.
I think you're just going to rely on two players. I mean, if you need the next man up, like
Well, okay,
mentality, right?
who do you think would be a good replacement for Jacob Carraz? There's no one in the NRL like him, really.
Yeah, well,
And Satili Tupanua, who's this great bench forward, I just think they missed a little bit of that security through the middle and that meter eating potential.
Yeah.
Once they get that back, they're going to be fine.
I guess we'll see. I mean, they had that last year. They had a full strength squad against the Cowboys,
True.
and still
They were full strength. No, because they had
they
that.
were down by one player or something.
They had that debutant left edge, right? Because they had Eli Clark and Jonathan Stewart,
Jonathan Stewart,
and one of them got leveled by Nana, if I remember
which was
correctly.
Eli Clark.
Yeah, Crichton was still playing though. I mean, the
Yeah.
captain and, they weren't missing a lot, and the Cowboys really put the ringers through them. And if they start this year like they finished last year, their stocks may go down really fast. So,
Players to watch: Jacob Preston, phenomenal. He looks really good. I really, really like watching him
he's the
play.
guy with the hair, right?
Yeah. It must be a hair thing. It must be.
Because
Their bench forward, Harry Hayes, I've sung his praises multiple times. I think he's really good. I hope they give him a few more minutes coming this year. But you think of they have like Max King and Sam Hughes and Kickow and Mann and a pretty good team. They've got Burton and Sexton in the halves for the whole year this time, not like half of it like the year before. So I think they're going to be okay, but I can see the argument that their defense may not be as good as it was last year.
Well, let's hope it is for their sake, but
The NRL is better when the Bulldogs are better because the Bulldogs fans are some of the rowdiest and the best in the NRL.
let's just say they're about South.
Yeah.
Speaking of not South, it's the Raiders.
I still think they're going to be about the same. The Dogs, I think they'll be the same. Maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse. I don't see them dropping out of the 8.
I'm pretty good for the 9th, but it could go a couple either way.
The Raiders,
Yeah.
I'm definitely a bit less gung-ho on them now. That Sharks game was rough.
Yeah.
However, my argument is they're not going to have Jensen Tamapau on the wing every game. He actively sabotaged them. He was a Cronulla double agent. I'm certain of it. He played so poorly. There's no feasible way you're not doing that on purpose. Plus, they didn't have Tarpany or Horsburgh, who are now both named for the Vegas games. So I'm not. Yeah, probably he'll be coming off the bench.
Well, that's probably he's getting older now too, so he's not young.
I'm just saying, it's the same thing. But look, I think they might be fine. It's a little tough.
I don't know.
I don't have as much.
My arguments for them making the 8 are getting a little bit less convincing.
Yeah.
But
If they do good
their
enough to
forward
win.
pack wasn't at full strength. That's my main talking point.
And here's the deal, right? When they finished in 9th,
Yeah.
they had minus 120 odd points.
Yeah, they're foreign against. Well, their foreign against is never good.
Well, that's not good. That doesn't.
They make the finals regardless of that most years. That's the thing. And if they can get
It's dumb.
if they keep Jamal Thorpe on the field for the whole year,
That
they'll
would be good.
fine.
He's a great halfback.
So yeah, I'm definitely less like I'm shaking my fist with the cloud, saying they're gonna be okay. It's slightly less positive. Yeah.
I have a sense about the Raiders.
I don't know.
I haven't really changed my mind on where I think they're going to end up, but they could surprise.
Also, with Albert Hopewadi at the very least missing round 1, I kind of expected a bit more out of the Tamale fellow on the wing. He was a bit average. But I also think that you get Morgan Smithies another year to adjust to the speed of the
He wasn't
NRL.
fighting with Hudson Young.
That's so stupid. But I legitimately think if he gets another season to adjust to the speed of the NRL and what the role of the lock is in the NRL, he could be a good part of that forward pack and help them improve.
I think he will. Morgan Smith has got some great prospects.
Yeah.
I just hope he can reach them. You know, I mean, that's everything, right? Getting the potential.
Yeah.
We know players that just haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
Hammer.
Oh
yeah.
Bad luck,
I'm
sorry. This is my fault. I said in our prediction video that if Latrell Mitchell was healthy, he would win the Dally M.
You've cursed him. You've straight up cursed him.
I said that if they can keep the off-season drama to a minimum and stay injury-free, they will make the top 4. Both of those have been completely destroyed.
Yeah, that's the captain who went under surgery for his Achilles.
And then Latrell was
out for probably a month.
2 months. I think.
Wow, it's a big one. Okay, so
Well, he's had multiple hamstring problems.
well, he has. That's because I mean, it's like he's got skinny legs for a bigger body. That's just the way he's built.
Yeah,
So
this
that's
is
gonna
You need to apologise to the Rabbitohs organisation.
yeah, this is my bad, guys.
That's
Okay,
insane.
bright spots. I think Jai Gray will do a job. I think he can definitely do something.
But he's not
Kalama
much.
Tungi?
Outside that,
Kalama Tungi, maybe?
well, he's
He's a proven commodity. I expect him to be fine.
Oh, he'll be great.
Who's the 7?
Pane Newton.
not Tana. He's not even there anymore.
Oh, it's not.
Who's the 7?
I don't know.
Because Lewis Dodd is suspended for round
Cody
1.
Walker.
No, he'll be 6.
Hmm.
Do you put Jamie Humphries there? He looked good. I liked what I saw out of him.
Well, I guess that's the dilemma for Wayne Bennett, right?
It's a Sisyphean task for this guy. It's like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and I feel bad for them.
They weren't even that good in the preseason at all.
Well, they were going to have their people for the Dragons game,
Yeah.
and then it all went to hell in a handbasket. So
Yeah, it kind of sucks for them.
Yeah, but-
look, and even if you look at like Peter Marmazelis, he was pretty underwhelming at the 9. I think you need someone a little bit more creative there. Maybe you put Humphries there.
Maybe.
Maybe Humphries goes to the 9.
Let's go to the 7.
Well, maybe maybe for round 1 you do.
Until you get Dots back.
Well, yeah, once you get Dodd back in round 2, you put him at the 7, you put Humphries at the 9, and Marmazelis either as the 14 or as out.
Yeah. I don't think he's a first grade player for too long. He's never really reached any great.
Yeah, he had.
Very
He
average.
was the understudy for Damien Cook for how many years?
Yeah, he's completely average,
Yeah.
and I don't think he'll ever be anything much at the NRL level, unfortunately.
And then to replace Cam Murray, I guess the answer is Tallis Duncan, who has
Put Jai Arrow there.
promise. You can't play Jai in the middle, not with his
Snatcher.
what's the word, durability issues.
He used to be a lot.
He used to be a lot when he wasn't 30 years old. I think you have the second row pairing of Kalamatangi and Arrow, and maybe you can either have Tallis Duncan as the 13 or who's the guy that
Can I ask how old Jake Trbojevic is?
30
He's still at 13,
Yeah,
so it's possible to be that old and be a
yes, but Jake Trbojevic doesn't have an issue with his shoulder exploding.
He's also very boring. What are you going to get from him? He'll run, fall over, and get up, play the ball. That's all he does.
They're going to have to really lean on
Yeah.
I think Davy Malali is going to have to be the other big standout forward.
Well, he's not horrible.
I think he's really slimmed down. He's dropped probably.
Players throughout that have
I
done
think
that.
that's why they're all getting injured. They're being pushed too hard.
That
They're not used to it yet, maybe.
maybe.
Although I don't think an Achilles injury really works with that. The hamstring, sure. I think Cam Murray's injury is just sheer bad luck.
Is like the worst.
The Rabbits have had so many years now. How many souls did they sell to get those prelim appearances? Because it's all fallen apart.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see how they go.
Yeah.
If anybody can get anything out of it, it'll be better.
But, like,
So,
you can sum up their preseason by just oof. It's a big oof.
It sucks. Well, Cowboys lost a couple of players prior to the preseason. I mean,
Yeah, but none of the caliber or importance of those guys. The Storm, the curse lives. They're bad again. It's happened.
Very bad again. They've never been
They're
bad.
gonna be bad. This is the year. It's happened.
You predicted them to come first. I predicted them to come first.
I know.
Caleb predicted them to come first
I'm being,
and probably win the grand final. And I think that's what's going to happen.
I'm being
Very facetious. Yeah,
There's nothing you can say. They didn't play a full strength squad the entire time.
Yeah.
Like at all.
I know. I mean, that was Warwick and Coates.
There's one Franco's Falcons, right?
Plus a few, but yes.
They the only thing I will say about them is, I mean, he debuted last year, but that Lazarus Alepu dude,
Oh, he's
Yeah.
scary.
he's going to be good.
He's a good player.
And he's made his intentions clear of staying in Melbourne.
Mm.
What
He reminds me of a younger Jason Taumalolo.
What Craig can do with that guy, sky's the limit.
He can make Neville nobodies into amazingly good footballers. I mean, you look at Jerome Hughes, for instance. He went down there very average, and he won the Dally M last year. I mean, he's obviously going to go down as one of the greatest NRL coaches or just coaches Australia has produced. Just what he's been able to do with this team over the 23 years that he's been there, right? So, just crazy, right? He's so good.
Yeah, well, and
A little bit of winning.
I guess the only blemish you can say is that Brian Pappenhausen has joined the Kieran Foran school of being injured all the time.
Well, he's on back for a few weeks.
Yeah,
he's
he's missing. Well, yeah, because they had the buy-in round.
Yeah.
So it's just
He might just miss the one game. And look, they have oh dear. They lose so much speed.
I hate them so much.
And they actually improved. One of the teams that actually improved by how they over the off season with Stefano Utoikamano. Very, very scary.
What to think of Stefano? I expected a bit more out of him, if I'm being honest. It's a preseason game, sure, but I feel like you'd at least expect a little bit more effort out of him, considering it's his first hit out in a Melbourne jersey. Maybe he'll turn it up.
I think he knew he'd be playing regardless. I mean, why bother killing yourself in the preseason if you want to be able to play the full 20?
And the preseason wooden spooners, the Sydney Roosters.
I still don't.
Second place.
I still don't fully read into that. I've got to be.
They're going to be worse than what I thought. They're finishing beneath. They're going to finish 13th. They're going to be bad. They are going to be so bad. There is nothing redeeming about this team.
Why did dying Jared Townsend?
We told you this was going to happen.
And thanks for taking him, by the way. But
Yeah,
I mean, like, what can you say? They've lost so many people. Their defense looked really poor. A lot of them just didn't look up to pace. Trent Robinson has no idea what he's doing with that forward pack, evidenced in that in a trial. Connor Watson finished the game playing left centre. Why? For what reason? They had Ethan King, their up and coming halfback behind Sam Walker. He was on the wing. Like, what's he doing? I don't get it. I don't know what Trent Robinson is doing.
Maybe it's the rope. Maybe it's the rope. They're going to come out and blitz teams with
What are they going to blitz with?
I don't know.
All of the punch of a potato gun. There's nothing there. Even James Tedesco was bad. That's how you know this team is screwed. Tedesco was really poor.
Yeah,
I can't see them making the top eight.
I know what you're saying, and I can appreciate your opinion on it, but I just think reading everything into these preseason games is a mistake.
Absolutely. But you can draw some conclusions.
You can, and I think they played poorly on that. I think Trent Robinson's got his work cut out for him to get them up to speed, but we've seen what he can do with teams. He's not the worst coach in the competition, so he's one of the better ones. And if anybody can get something decent out of the team, he can. I still don't see them making top four. I have them in sixth. That could drop down. We'll have a look at the first couple of weeks, and it may drop down. Right? So just remember, our first picks were like the ridiculously early ladder predictions, and they were
last year.
Mine wasn't based. Mine was based on projecting what the year was going to be, and I thought they would be meh. I thought they'd be worse. I didn't expect it to be this bad.
Second place Roosters.
I was listening to the bloke podcast.
I
was listening to the bloke in a bar podcast today, and they brought up how this is probably the first year in Trent Robinson's career where he has a roster that isn't far and away the best in the NRL. So you brought up how he's a good coach. I think he's an okay coach who's had a good roster his entire career. And now that he doesn't have $1 billion worth of players on his payroll, it's the bottom is going to fall out.
I guess this might be the making of him. We don't know. I mean,
This is a very big year.
I hope it is good for them. I don't. Like I said, I'm quite happy to drop them out of the 8 if I see the first couple of weeks and they haven't improved from the pre-season game and they're still looking like a dog's breakfast type thing. We'll see, I guess. Yeah.
So, following on from that, Vegas.
Vegas!
I'm back again.
Las Vegas!
This experiment that's definitely not going to work. I could rant
The
about
Americans
it
don't give a hang about any sport but their own.
I could rant about for hours how poorly the NRL have handled the advertising for this thing. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the teams. The team lists have been released. The first team list Tuesday of the regular season. News. You've got, obviously, with Albert Hopewadi out, Tamale starts on the wing for the Raiders. Corey Horsburgh and Joe Tapney are your starting forwards, and you've got Papali'i coming off the bench. Maggie Nicholson is surprisingly nowhere to be seen, which I was very surprised about because I thought he played well in the trials, which means that you've got Young and Zach Hosking are the second rowers, which I love Zach Hosking.
Hosking is the mongrel, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Morgan
you've
Smith
got...
is off the bench. He come off the-
No, Morgan Smithies is the starting 13.
Oh,
And then your hooker rotation is Tom Starling starting with youngster Owen Patty coming off the bench, who's apparently overtaken Danny Levi on the depth chart.
that's interesting.
So that's cool. On the Warriors side of things, you've got RTS and Tane Tuapiki are the wing pairing, which is
I think he'll start on the wing. I think he's fine.
a choice. Yeah, I think that's fine. You've got the halves pairing of Luke Metcalf and Chanel Harris to Vita, which I expected it to be Tamari Martin based on last year, but I don't know. Maybe they know something.
Martin was quite good in the
I thought he played all right.
trials as well. So.
And then the lock spot freed up by Tohu Harris goes to Aaron Clark, with Dylan Walker coming off the bench, which I thought would be backwards.
Yeah, but Aaron Clark was, he's a bigger body, I think, and that's probably the reason.
Yeah, James Fisher-Harris is also named to start with Mitch Barnett in the front row.
That's
Combo, I just say.
That's just absolutely crazy.
Well, we haven't lost anything with Adam Fanua-Blake
Yeah.
and swapping him out for
Yeah.
James Fisher-Harris.
So I'm fairly equal on these teams as to where I was at the beginning.
I think the Warriors might beat Canberra over there.
Really?
I think they do.
Okay, I have the Raiders winning 20-12.
Yeah, no, I think the Warriors have got more points in them than the Raiders.
I think
They're more exciting when they play.
Ethan Strange and Kyle Weeks don't do anything for you?
They're very and very
Xavier Savage?
Savage is too hit or miss.
He's been more consistent.
He's fast. Look, his defense still is a little bit up in
That's
the air.
fair.
But then again, we've got a couple of Warriors who haven't played wing for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Two of us will do a job. We know he's going to break ankles and whatever else that he does. Even though he's getting older, he still has that amazing step. I just think that I know the Canberra guys have a pretty good forward pack as well, but that'll be the fun part, watching those two forward packs go hammer and
Yes,
tongs.
it'll be good.
With a slightly less wide field, who knows what happens with that? We know that it's about 6 or 7 meters narrower.
It didn't seem to affect teams much last year, I will say, because you look at the Rabbits Manly game, there was a very high scoring shootout, and
The Broncos was
it was more of a grindy sort of thing, but that's what happens when you had those two forward packs go against each other. I'm expecting something similar here.
I think the Raiders are probably going to beat them.
I think
I
it'll be
don't
a good
know
game.
by how much. But
I'm
it's gonna be
kinda-
insane.
I'm kind of glad it's the first one that they're playing of the NRL games over there. I think it'll be a pretty good spectacle because we know that the Warriors are quite entertaining when they play and stuff. And I think that's what Americans like to see, an entertaining game. Although they're NFL, let me say,
Okay.
we won't go into
You know
that.
how I feel about the
Yeah.
NFL.
But NRL is just a little bit more exciting in my books.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that happens to them. I think the Warriors win, but it's pretty high scoring. Not,
Okay, interesting.
I don't think either defense is going to be smashing.
Cool. Raiders, Warriors,
Raiders.
Raiders. Man.
We'll see.
And then Penrith Cronulla. Battle of two of the premiership
Heavyweights. They are heavyweights.
the Penrith. Brian Toto is out, replaced by Casey McLean on that wing.
Don't lose anything in speed. He's very quick.
I don't know who the centre is missing that's meant that Luke Garner has to play in the centres now. And then
Yeah, that makes sense. They're a bit weak.
Lalamotti on the other wing, which is where he is.
He's fine.
Like I said before, Jack Cole gets the first start at 5'8".
I think I
You've got Lindsay Smith, who takes James Fisher Harris's place in the starting forward pack.
Interesting. I thought they might throw sorry. They might have put Sorensen up there.
Scott Sorensen starts in the second row. Isaiah Papali'i is coming off the bench, which I find interesting when you have someone with the versatility of Scott Sorensen. I feel like
He could play the front row if he needed to.
faith in Lindsay Smith as a prop.
Maybe. Look, he's very.
He looks really good.
Look, he's fine, and he's an excellent defenseman, and you want that, right? So,
But big news, obviously, Nathan Cleary's in, who is Penrith. So they'll
I think I already have my predictions.
interesting. For Cronulla, it's basically as per programmed because obviously Katoa's injury was a little while ago, so Stone Street's on the wing. Everything else is fine.
AFBs then. I have
what happened to Neil Blazer?
predictions already, I think.
This is a really tough game to tip because Brian Toto is a huge loss.
Yes. I mean, Case McLean's quick, but he's not the meat to eat of it.
Exactly.
I already have my
So-
predictions.
Yes, we'll get to that in a second.
I'm very tempted to give Cronulla the edge here.
I think they have a good chance because I think their forward pack is better
Oh, it is now, yeah.
than the Penrith ones. And remember, a lot of these games, especially on a narrower field, are going to be run through the
Middle,
middle.
which is, a team that has AFB and Cam McInnes and Teague Wilton and Britt Nicola and all these guys.
And Manuel, all these people who, are not Royce Hunt anymore because he's
No,
elsewhere,
but they've got Talakai who's basically
Yeah.
so
a smaller version.
I'm going to give Cronulla the edge. I'm going to
Yeah.
Cronulla 16-12, low scoring game.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be high scoring. I don't think the field is big enough for it to be high scoring for these two teams at least.
Right.
I'd agree that it's probably going to be close, 4 points. Not sure what the game will be, but I think it'll be Cronulla.
I think it'll be Cronulla too. Mine's 18-10.
8 points.
Yeah.
Okay, then cool. So
Yeah.
imagine tipping the four-time defending premiers to lose the first game of the year again.
It can happen.
Well, they did last year. They lost to Melbourne in week 1.
Yep.
8-0 game or something.
Yeah,
So,
something like that.
I guess we'll see. I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty comprehensive. We've covered a lot of territory tonight.
Yeah. I would.
Whatever happens, good luck to all teams going over, and that includes the Gillaroos and the two
And the Super League teams.
Super League
The
teams as well.
Warriors and the
So,
Wolves.
Yeah.
yes, so hopefully they all get through injury-free.
And the
They have a great time over there while they're doing it, and hopefully lots of Americans start getting on board. I'm not amazingly sure that that's going to happen, but it would be nice if we got a few extra than we did last year. And the college basketball over there doesn't run overtime, and they can actually start it.
That was funny, wasn't it? That was really funny.
That's why Lionesses they go.
Yeah, that's the Gillaroos. Yeah, so
We don't care about the English. We hate the English.
Racist.
No, it's not. We're English.
Australia and England have always been rivals, so don't worry about that.
No. All right, I think we're done here.
Yeah, definitely.
He's losing his mind.
I think I am.
Go to bed.
I've already lost my
Alright.
mind.
We will
So
catch you
wild.
next time after Vegas, I imagine.
Vegas, yes. What happened then?
Catch you guys. See ya.
Round one, I guess.